What's up YouTube, ODST General back again with another Operation Trebuchet news video. Now, I do apologize guys, it's been a while since I've done any videos. I wanted to take a break from YouTube for like a week because work was so crazy and hectic, and then I ended up getting sick. And unfortunately, the video I had recorded, my last video that I wanted to upload, I should say, didn't want to upload for some reason. There was like a corruption in the file. So anyways, here we are. It's been over a month now, just chaos between getting sick and everything else. And yeah, anyways, I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving for those of you who celebrate it, and a great Halo Infinite release. But yeah, it's time to get back to work for me, so let's go ahead and talk about Halo for Arma. So, starting us off, we have Operation Trebuchet, of course, and they are working on a new faction. This is a work-in-progress faction by Thomas. There's actually a couple of them that he's working on. This first screenshot is of a PMC. There is also a new Insurrectionist faction work-in-progress. Now, these are just basically retextures of pre-existing assets. Unfortunately, unlike High's Insurrectionist faction that he had been working on prior to leaving the team, where his contained new assets like the Halo 3 armor that he was making and some police uniforms and stuff like that. This will just be retextures. It seems like there's going to be a few different factions, potentially 2 or 3 at least, so this will still be kind of interesting to see. Now, unfortunately, it's been a couple of weeks since this was announced, and not much else has been said. I did reach out to Thomas to see what was going on with it, and he basically said that they still need to look at the kits and everything for that, so hopefully we'll get a little bit more news on that in the not-too-distant future, I'm guessing, but we'll have to wait patiently on that. A little bit more exciting, potentially. I'm a little bit hesitant to be excited about this one. I've been hurt too many times. But some of the Gamma helmets are going to be making their way into Operation Trebuchet. Now, if you guys are longtime members of the community, you're probably familiar with these Gamma helmets already, but those of you who are not, these things have been available on and off the workshop at a few points. They'll be put up and then taken down, put up and taken down. They were Spartan helmets created for standard infantry, marines, whatever, army units, and they would be put on the workshop as part of a private unit mod, but it was allowed to the public, then taken away from the public. It's been a whole thing. Anyways, these are officially coming to Operation Trebuchet. They're getting donated to the mod. And the Operation Trebuchet dev team will be making them accessible on Spartans for the first time, which is pretty cool. So these will still be available to standard infantry. So if you want to have the EOD helmet or the scout helmet for a standard armament, you'll be able to have it for that, which will be cool. But you'll also have access to it as Spartan helmets, which I'm really excited for. Then we have a new BR animation by Saru, and it's pretty cool stuff. I mean, obviously, I think we had a new BR animation done not super duper long ago, I feel like, but new animations are always welcome and stuff like that, and I'm pretty excited to see it. So that's going to be pretty neat. Moving on, Freeman has started a rehaul or an overhaul of his Spanker rocket launcher carrying case. It's not the launcher itself, it's just for the ammunition, but whatever. Anyways, the carrying case is getting an overhaul, new textures, new model, all that stuff, and it's looking pretty freaking slick if I do say so myself. I'm definitely excited for this. You know, it's one of those things, it's not going to change the game or the way we play Arma, but I love these little props and stuff like this, and even if I don't use it a whole lot myself, whenever I see this stuff used in a mission, it always blows my mind when like people start actually putting these props and stuff together. Now, we're going to go a little bit bigger, and by a little bit I mean a lot bigger, because we're going to talk about some buildings. Vlad has donated some buildings and interiors to the Operation Trebuchet dev team. I say donated, but he's technically a dev team member, so I don't know if you really call it donating. Anyways, we've got like Ivory Tower and some structures which appear to be based off of the new Alexandria skyline, I believe. I'm not 100% certain. I think one of these is the building that you have to help protect Buck on, but I'm not actually sure. Nonetheless, these are some massive towers, and then the Ivory Tower building's definitely pretty interesting looking. I'm kind of curious how well that's actually going to work as a prop. or as an actual structure, I feel like it's not going to be the easiest thing to integrate into the map alone, but maybe it'll go well, okay, on top of other buildings. I'm not sure if there's going to be another building that will be suitable to place it on top of. But the interior for that looks really cool, and I really, really like these new skyscrapers, so I'm pretty excited for that. Now, that's not the only person making buildings. Big Wilk has returned from the dead. And if you guys aren't familiar with Big Wilk, there's a pretty good reason for that. He's been inactive for years with the Operation Trebuchet community. He is the guy who developed the HUD system, and it's pretty cool stuff. I mean, he's a really talented guy, but he also made a number of assets which were pulled from the mod with plans to redo them at one point, and that never happened. Well, we finally got a new model for one of those things, the Marketplace, as it was previously called, or the new Mombasa Wildlife Preserve building, as more of you probably recognize it from the ODST firefight map and from the campaign, of course. It has gotten a major overhaul, completely new model, new textures, all sorts of stuff, and oh man, I love this building. I really think it's the green skylight awning combination thing that they have going on here just looks gorgeous, what Big Wolf did with this. This structure is pretty massive. Now, a couple of images were released onto the Operation Trebuchet Discord. I also managed to get my hands on a few other screenshots of the building from like the interior and stuff like that. And yeah, it's really cool. You'll be able to walk on top of it. From what I heard, Warthogs can go around on top of the thing with little to no issue. There is pathing set up for it, so AI will be able to traverse it pretty well and everything, not just player infantry, which is going to be great. So I'm really excited for this. It's a much better looking building. The old one didn't look bad, but this one looks significantly better than the old one did, so I'm really excited for it. Okay, so then we're going to switch on over to vehicles, and there's a number of big vehicle news things to talk about here. So starting us off, NATO Vizard has been in the process of bringing all of the UNSC assets in line as far as the color of textures go. So Warthogs and the Hemets and stuff like that will all use matching camouflage. Well, I want to say camouflage, but textures is camouflage or not. So say the woodland green will now match instead of having 2 different greens or 3 different greens between vehicles and stuff like that. I think it looks great, you know, and this was something that's always kind of bothered me, is having one color and then another one a slightly different color and then one slightly different color from those two. You know, and it's kind of understandable why that's the case, because obviously this stuff has been overhauled time after time after time, you know, and textures have been redone like 3-4 times at this point. Nonetheless, it looks really fantastic. I'm really excited that all these are finally being brought in line with one another and made consistent between them. So that I'm very excited for. This also includes the Warthog turrets, which are going to now actually match the color of the Warthog. There will be different turret colors, which is pretty exciting, because that was something that was lacking for a while. So that I'm pretty happy for. And Vlad has also updated the Scorpion tanks with new colors as well, so new camouflages, if you want to call them that, and they look really great. Now, with the Scorpion tanks, he has also come back and created 2 new tanks, well actually several new tanks if you want to get really specific, but some of these don't have names yet. So we have the M808B, which was of course already in the mod previously made by Zephyr, but Vlad has made a new gorgeous looking model, and really exciting stuff, but it's really cool. It's going to have a lot of new options and additions, camouflage netting, bags, all sorts of stuff like that. There's also a new variation, which I guess is supposed to be a more realistic take on the Scorpion tank, which has a much bigger turret, which is kind of interesting. Now, his M808B has a crow system as well, so instead of having a player gunner, it's got a crow system. I'm a little mixed on this. I actually think the crow system looks really cool, but of course the exposed gunner, as silly as it seems for the Scorpion tank, is just so iconic. I kind of would have preferred to have that with the M247 position. Nonetheless, these new models look great. There is also another model which is a crane system again. This one doesn't have a name like the other updated version, the M808B as well. But yeah, it's basically a Scorpion tank, but instead of a turret, it's got a crane, which is kind of wacky tobacky. And yes, I said wacky tobacky, unironically. Stop me. Anywho, we have the Oryx also being added, which is an infantry fighting vehicle, which looks like it was kind of inspired by the Bradley and like maybe the HTLV, I think it is, or something, or VL. I can't remember what the actual acronym for the tank is, but looks like it was inspired by a couple different tanks, and yet at the same time retains a fairly Halo feel. So this one was also created by Vlad. It uses the same Crow system. It's a pretty interesting tank nonetheless, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it. Just like the Scorpion tank, this is going to have a variety of camouflage patterns as well as options for things like bags and camouflage netting as well. So that's going to be really cool. Now, it is actually already getting implemented in the game, and Thomas uploaded a couple of screenshots of the progress on that. Now, these are, of course, still very early work in progress, but he showed off a version with and without the bags. Now, it doesn't seem to have any shadows or anything yet. I'm not sure if it's operational, but it is actually placeable in-game. Textures and everything are obviously all set, too, which is really cool stuff. That brings us on over to community, and we're going to have to try and hurry this up because I feel like I'm already losing my voice, which sucks because I literally just started having this cold that never went away come back in full force yesterday. Anywho, moving on us over to community is Macho, starting things off with a Covenant light pole. So Macho said he will probably donate this to the Operation Trebuchet dev team if he is happy with the end results of it. So this is him kind of just doing some practice modeling and everything like that. It still needs textures and config work and all that stuff. So it probably has a little bit of a way to go, but obviously it's a light pole. It's not the craziest or hardest thing to implement in Arma, so it's definitely something that we could end up seeing very realistically in Operation Trebuchet if he does end up donating it. Nonetheless, it's a really cool project, and again, as I said with the rocket launcher cases just a little bit ago, I love small props like this. They are really what kind of sets the actual theme of Halo for me in this universe and takes me out of Arma and into Halo. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the first MU. Now, the first MU has taken a bit of a break at the same time I was gone, so things have gone fairly quiet from them. Now, they did release some images of their work-in-progress Spartan laser. Now, this is something they've been working on for a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't have any shots of this thing firing or any video, so I don't know how functional it is at this point. I'm guessing they gotta be getting pretty darn close to having this thing done. The textures look finalized, the model looks finalized, so I'd imagine that really all that needs to be done is configuring it to actually be able to fire the weapon, and then maybe open and close it if they wanted to do something like that. I've seen that done with other mods for Arma, so that should be pretty interesting if they end up actually doing that with the Spartan laser. Nonetheless, it's a gorgeous looking model. I'm pretty excited to see that thing actually get implemented. Now, this next one is from the Hannibal weapon system, and I can't remember if I've talked about this. I have talked about some of their other projects in the past, but they are implementing the armor from Be Human, which is from Halo Legends, or the H-Running or Runting or whatever. It's like the Yagdrajal armor, you know, that one. So it's the same armor Sergeant Johnson also wears in Halo Wars 2. It's the mechanized suits that are basically intended to basically give Spartan abilities to standard Marines without killing them. This is something I didn't think I would get to see in Arma. No one from the Operation Trebuchet dev team or any other Arma development team has ever seemed interested in taking this thing on. So the fact that we're finally getting to see this was a surprise to me. I'm hoping we get to actually see it finalized and implemented. It's not an easy project by any means, but this would be very cool to see in game. Now, talking to Kitsune over there with the Hannibal weapon systems mod, he says they want this to function kind of like the power armor from the Aftermath mod, where individual pieces of this can get damaged. You'll get a HUD overlay and helmets and all sorts of other stuff like that. So, very interesting sounding project. Maybe not exactly one-to-one with the original model, but nonetheless still very, very cool. I'm very excited for it. Now, right after my last video, some armor was released by the 19th. And this is probably going to be the most popular stuff if you guys haven't somehow seen this already. The 19th... Sorry guys, I tried to stop that for as long as I could. I just couldn't choke it back anymore. Has created the Halo Wars 2 armor, the Halo 2 Anniversary armor style. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And this is part of their unit mod, which should already be linked, I believe, in the mod list. If it's not, I'll get that fixed. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous looking model. Now, unfortunately, the uniforms underneath and the armor are all one piece, so it's just two pieces. The helmet, which comes in a couple different flavors, as you guys can see from the screenshots, and the armor. And there's a few different textures for their units specifically. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Probably the coolest asset that's actually in-game and available right now that's been done recently. But, you know, a lot of this other stuff we showed off, unfortunately, is still very work in progress or just hasn't been shared. I think that's everything, guys. Now, obviously, it's been a month, and there's been a lot of community stuff, and I've just missed a lot of stuff from being sick. And then, obviously, Halo came out, so there's been a few things I've missed because of that, because I've been playing Halo, you know. You guys understand. So I do apologize for anybody out there in the community who has created awesome stuff. If I've missed you, just give me a shout out, let me know. I know that there's been a few mod updates that I didn't cover, such as the Carver findings, and there's probably been a couple others that I'm missing out on. But other than that, guys, let me know if there's anything else you guys want to see or anything I missed out on. And like always, I want to know what your most favorite thing from this video was. Let me know in the comments below, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.